Imagine this. You've been learning English for years. You understand movies. You understand YouTube videos. You even practice grammar every single day. But then someone suddenly asks you a simple question like, "So, what do you do?" And your brain completely shuts down. No words, no sentences, just panic. Why does this happen? And more importantly, how do you stop it?
Because trust me, if your brain goes blank while speaking English, you are definitely not alone. Millions of English learners secretly struggle with this every single day.
Hey everyone, I am Jessica. Welcome back to Learn English with Roast, the podcast where you improve your English, build your confidence, and occasionally get roasted harder than people who say, "I can understand English, but I can't speak."
And I'm Rayan, a man who once prepared an entire English introduction in his head and then forgot his own name when someone actually talked to him.
Honestly, that is painful but relatable.
Very relatable. My brain left the meeting before I did.
Today, we're talking about one of the biggest struggles English learners face: why your brain goes blank during conversations even when you know English.
And this topic is important because many learners think they have a vocabulary problem or a grammar problem, when actually they have a pressure problem.
Exactly. Sometimes your English is not bad. Your confidence is just collapsing under pressure.
Before we begin, answer this question in your mind. What situation makes you panic the most in English? Phone calls, introducing yourself, talking to strangers, ordering food?
Or maybe when someone suddenly says, "Tell me something about yourself," and your brain immediately opens 15 empty tabs.
Honestly, why is that question so terrifying?
Because suddenly your brain starts acting like an old computer, trying to load too many things at once.
That's actually the perfect way to describe what happens during English conversations. Your brain becomes overloaded.
And most learners don't realize this. But speaking English is not only about language knowledge. It's also about speed, confidence, emotion, pressure, memory, and focus, all working together at the same time.
Which explains why someone can score high in English exams but still freeze during conversations.
Exactly. Because exams are controlled, conversations are unpredictable.
In school, you usually have time to think. You can write slowly, you can review grammar, you can erase mistakes.
But real conversations happen fast. People don't wait 5 business days for your sentence.
Unfortunately,
Your brain must understand the question, create an answer, choose vocabulary, organize grammar, pronounce the words correctly, and speak confidently, all within seconds.
meanwhile, your anxiety is standing in the corner screaming, "Don't mess this up."
And that pressure creates panic.
Here's something interesting. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you can speak English perfectly while alone, but suddenly struggle when talking to a real person?
Oh yes, that happens constantly.
You practice alone in your room like a future TED Talk speaker. Then someone says, "Hi" in real life, and suddenly your English disappears into another dimension.
That's because fear changes how your brain functions.
When you feel nervous, your brain focuses more on survival than communication.
Exactly. Your brain starts monitoring every little mistake.
Was that grammar correct?
Did I pronounce that word wrong?
Why did I say informations?
Why am I sweating during a basic conversation?
And while you're overthinking one sentence, the conversation has already moved on.
This is one of the biggest reasons people go blank. Overthinking destroys speaking flow.
Especially perfectionism,
Oh, yes. Many English learners secretly believe they must speak perfectly to sound intelligent.
which is ironic because native speakers make mistakes literally all the time.
Exactly. Native speakers forget words, repeat sentences, use wrong grammar, pause awkwardly, and sometimes say things that make absolutely no sense.
I do that daily, sometimes even in my own language.
Same. But learners often believe one tiny mistake means failure.
So they become too careful.
And when you become too careful while speaking, your speech stops flowing naturally.
Imagine trying to dance while analyzing every single movement. You become stiff.
Speaking works the same way. Communication needs flow, not perfection.
But schools often train people to fear mistakes instead of using language naturally.
Exactly. Students become experts at passing exams, but beginners at real conversations.
And honestly, many learners are carrying years of embarrassment.
That's true. Maybe someone laughed at their pronunciation once. Maybe a teacher corrected them harshly. Maybe they felt stupid during a conversation.
So now their brain associates English with stress.
which means the moment they start speaking, their anxiety activates automatically.
And anxiety makes thinking harder.
This is why some learners suddenly forget vocabulary they already know.
Your brain is overloaded with fear, pressure, self-monitoring, and overthinking. There's no mental space left for smooth communication.
It's like trying to open 10 heavy apps on an old phone. Eventually, the system freezes.
That's literally what happens during panic moments in English conversations.
Another major reason people freeze is translation.
Oh yes, this habit destroys fluency more than people realize.
Many learners still think in their native language first and then translate every sentence into English before speaking.
Which sounds normal until conversations become fast.
Because now your brain is doing extra work every single second.
First, you create the idea in your own language. Then you translate it. Then you check grammar. Then you worry about pronunciation.
Meanwhile, the other person is already waiting for your response.
And your brain starts panicking because the conversation feels too fast.
Native speakers don't translate. They connect thoughts directly to English.
That's why their responses feel natural and immediate.
But learners often build traffic jams inside their own minds by translating everything word by word.
Honestly, some people mentally open Google Translate before every sentence,
And eventually, their brain becomes exhausted.
which is why many learners say things like, I know English in my head, but I can't speak.
Because knowledge and speaking speed are different skills.
Exactly. Knowing vocabulary is one thing. Accessing it quickly during pressure is another thing completely.
You know what's actually scary? Sometimes your brain goes blank even during the easiest conversations.
Oh, absolutely. Someone asks, how was your weekend? And suddenly your mind reacts like they asked you to explain quantum physics in English.
Exactly. And then, after the conversation ends, your brain magically remembers perfect sentences 30 seconds later.
That post-conversation fluency is painful.
Honestly. Suddenly you become Shakespeare in the shower.
A yes, that's what I should said.
But that delayed response reveals something important. Your English knowledge didn't disappear. Your brain sim struggled under pressure in real time.
Which means the problem is not intelligence. The problem is processing speed and emotional pressure.
And one thing that affects processing speed massively is fear of judgment.
This is huge. Many learners are not actually afraid of English. They're afraid of embarrassing themselves in front of people.
Exactly. They fear being laughed at, corrected, ignored, or misunderstood.
So before they even start speaking, their brain is already preparing for disaster.
And once fear enters the conversation, confidence leaves immediately.
Have you ever noticed how differently people speak when they feel comfortable?
Oh, yes. Around supportive friends, learners suddenly become more fluent, more expressive, even funnier.
But around judgmental people, they freeze instantly.
Because emotions affect fluency more than people realize.
Your brain performs better when it feels safe.
That's why children learn languages faster emotionally. They make mistakes without constantly attacking themselves.
Meanwhile, adults say one incorrect sentence and mentally prepare their own funeral.
It's over. My career is finished. Society will never recover from my grammar mistake.
Honestly, English learners are dramatic sometimes.
Very dramatic.
But the fear is understandable because speaking another language makes people feel vulnerable.
Exactly. In your native language, your personality feels complete. You can joke naturally, explain ideas clearly, express emotions properly.
But in English, many learners suddenly feel limited,
And that limitation creates frustration.
especially when your thoughts are smarter than your speaking ability.
That's one of the most painful feelings for language learners. You know you're intelligent, but your English cannot fully express your personality yet,
So people sometimes start sounding quieter, less confident, or less expressive than they really are.
which creates even more anxiety during conversations.
And then comes another dangerous habit, mentally correcting yourself while speaking.
Oh yes, this destroys fluency immediately.
Some learners speak like this. Yesterday I go no, was going actually.
And while they're fixing one sentence, their brain completely loses the conversation flow.
Because communication is happening in real time.
Exactly. Your goal during speaking is connection, not perfection.
Native speakers don't stop after every tiny mistake. They keep moving forward.
But learners often pause constantly, Because they think every sentence must be grammatically flawless.
which creates robotic speech instead of natural communication.
Here's something important everyone listening needs to remember. People care more about understanding you than judging your grammar.
Exactly. If your message is clear, communication is already successful.
Think about international conversations online. Millions of people with imperfect English communicate successfully every day.
Because fluency is not about sounding perfect. It's about continuing the conversation confidently, even with mistakes.
That mindset changes everything.
Another thing that causes blank moments is lack of speaking repetition.
Yes, many learners consume English constantly but rarely produce English.
Watching videos is useful, listening is useful, reading is useful. But eventually your mouth needs training too.
Speaking is a physical skill as much as a mental one.
Exactly. Your mouth, tongue, pronunciation muscles, speaking rhythm, all of these improve through repetition.
It's similar to sports. You cannot become a good football player only by watching matches.
Imagine someone saying, I watched 700 cooking videos. Why can't I cook professionally?
Because observation alone is not practice,
And many learners secretly avoid speaking because they fear mistakes.
which creates a dangerous cycle.
They avoid speaking because they lack confidence. But confidence only grows through speaking.
Exactly. So the longer they avoid conversations, the scarier conversations become.
This is why small daily speaking practice matters so much.
Even talking to yourself in English helps.
Honestly, people underestimate self-talk practice.
Narrating your daily activities trains your brain to build English thoughts automatically.
For example, I need coffee. I'm tired. I should reply to this email. This weather is making me sleepy.
Small, simple thoughts repeated daily can slowly rewire your thinking process.
And over time, your brain becomes faster at accessing English naturally.
Another powerful technique is repeating common conversation patterns.
This helps massively because real-life conversations are surprisingly repetitive.
Exactly. People ask similar questions constantly. What do you do? Where are you from? What are your hobbies? How was your day?
If you practice answers for common situations repeatedly, your brain stops panicking during real conversations.
Because familiarity reduces fear.
Think about actors. They don't magically become confident on stage. They rehearse repeatedly until the lines feel automatic.
Speaking English works the same way.
Repetition builds comfort. Comfort builds confidence. Confidence improves fluency.
And honestly, fluency often looks more magical than it really is.
Most fluent speakers are not mentally translating complicated grammar rules during conversations.
They're using familiar speaking patterns they've repeated many times before.
That's why practice matters more than perfection.
Before we continue, let's ask everyone listens something important.
What situation makes you freeze the fastest in English?
Phone calls, speaking in front of strangers, job interviews, talking to native speakers.
Or introducing yourself for the 100th time while pretending your hands are not shaking?
Let us know because honestly, English anxiety has many different forms. You know what's interesting? Sometimes people think fluent speakers never feel nervous.
Meanwhile, fluent speakers are also panicking internally. They just continue talking anyway.
Exactly. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It's the ability to keep communicating, even while feeling uncomfortable.
And honestly, one of the biggest differences between fluent and non-fluent learners is not vocabulary size. It's recovery speed.
That's such an important point.
Fluent speakers recover quickly after mistakes. Non-fluent learners often panic after one small error and mentally shut down.
For example, if a fluent speaker forgets a word, they simply explain it differently.
Like, the thing you use to cut paper, instead of freezing because they forgot the word scissors.
Exactly, communication continues.
But many learners think, if I forget one word, the entire conversation is destroyed.
Which creates unnecessary pressure.
Here's the truth. Communication is flexible. You do not need perfect vocabulary to keep a conversation alive,
Native speakers simplify their language all the time.
especially when explaining difficult ideas.
But learners often believe advanced English equals intelligence.
So they try to sound overly sophisticated during conversations.
And that backfires badly because their brain becomes overloaded, trying to build perfect sentences.
Honestly, some learners speak like they're writing a university essay during a coffee conversation.
Greetings, fellow human. It would be my utmost pleasure to consume caffeine alongside you.
Sir, they just asked if you want coffee. Relax.
Simple English is powerful English.
In fact, most daily conversations use surprisingly basic vocabulary.
Exactly. Fluence is not about using the hardest words. It's about expressing ideas smoothly and naturally.
Another reason brains go blank is comparison.
Oh yes, social media has made this problem worse,
Learners constantly compare themselves to influencers, native speakers, or highly fluent creators online.
which creates unrealistic expectations.
They see someone speaking fast English and think, why can't I speak like that yet?
But they forget something important. They are watching the final result of years of practice.
Not the awkward beginning.
Every fluent speaker once struggled too. Every confident communicator once felt nervous.
Nobody started fluent.
Exactly. Fluency is built slowly through repetition, mistakes, exposure, and patience.
But comparison makes learners ignore their own progress,
And when people constantly feel behind, conversations become emotionally stressful instead of enjoyable.
which again increases blank moments during speaking.
Another hidden problem is focusing too much on individual words instead of overall communication.
This happens constantly.
Someone is speaking English, and suddenly they forget one word. Then their entire brain stops working.
Like a Wi-Fi router disconnecting after one small problem.
But real communication doesn't require perfect wording every second.
You can describe things differently. Use easier words, use examples, use gestures. Continue speaking.
The goal is connection, not linguistic perfection.
Honestly, some of the best communicators in the world are not even grammatically perfect.
Because communication energy matters.
Confidence, tone, storytelling, emotion, humor, eye contact, these things make conversations engaging too,
But nervous learners focus only on grammar survival.
which makes speaking feel like a dangerous exam instead of a human interaction.
And when conversations feel dangerous, your brain naturally becomes defensive.
That's why relaxed learners often improve faster.
Because they allow themselves to experiment with language instead of fearing mistakes constantly.
Children do this naturally.
Yes, kids say incorrect sentences all the time, but they continue communicating fearlessly.
Meanwhile, adults say one wrong sentence and spend the next 3 years remembering it before sleeping.
In 2019, I accidentally said, I am boring instead of I am bored. My life has never recovered.
Honestly, English trauma is real.
Very real.
But mistakes are actually proof that you're learning actively.
Exactly. Silent perfection teaches less than active imperfect practice.
That sentence deserves dramatic background music.
Please add violin sounds during editing.
Another major reason people freeze is lack of listening exposure.
Oh yes, this is extremely important.
If your brain rarely hears natural English daily, conversations feel shocking and overwhelming.
Especially because real spoken English is fast, connected, emotional, and sometimes messy.
Native speakers shorten words, blend sounds together, use slang, interrupt each other, and change topics quickly.
Which can make learners panic because textbook English sounds very different from real-life English.
This is why listening practice matters so much for speaking confidence.
The more your brain hears natural speaking patterns, the less stressful conversations become.
Because your brain starts recognizing rhythms automatically.
Think about songs. The more you hear a song, the easier it becomes to predict the next line.
Conversations work similarly. Exposure builds familiarity. Familiarity reduces panic.
That's why passive exposure actually helps fluency more than many people realize.
Watching podcasts, interviews, conversations, and casual English content trains your ears for real communication.
Especially content where people speak naturally instead of overly formal educational English.
Because real conversations are emotional, spontaneous, and imperfect.
And honestly, learners need more exposure to real English instead of only perfect classroom English.
Before we continue, let's ask everyone listening something.
Have you ever remembered the perfect English sentence? 5 minutes after the conversation ended.
If yes, congratulations. Your brain enjoys betraying you professionally.
You know what else causes people to freeze in English conversations? Trying to impress people too much.
Oh, absolutely. The moment learners start thinking, I need to sound smart, everything falls apart.
Because now the brain is no longer focused on communication. It's focused on performance.
And performance pressure destroys natural speaking.
Exactly. Instead of speaking simply, learners start searching for advanced vocabulary that they barely use in real life,
Then, halfway through the sentence, their brain suddenly forgets everything.
which creates panic.
Honestly, some learners know the simple answer immediately, but reject it because it sounds too basic.
Meanwhile, native speakers use simple English constantly.
Exactly. Real fluency is simplicity with confidence.
One of the biggest mindset shifts learners need is this: simple English is not weak English.
In fact, clear, simple communication is usually more powerful than complicated speech.
Think about great communicators. Most of them explain ideas clearly, not unnecessarily fancy.
Because the goal is understanding, not showing off vocabulary like a Pokemon collection.
Behold my advanced phrasal verbs.
Calm down, Shakespeare.
Another thing that secretly causes blank moments is lack of sleep and mental exhaustion.
Oh, yes, this is very real.
People forget that speaking another language requires mental energy,
Your brain is processing vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, listening, emotions, and social interactions simultaneously.
which means if you're already mentally tired, your speaking ability can temporarily become weaker.
Have you ever noticed that some days your English feels amazing, and other days your brain struggles with basic sentences?
That happens to everyone.
Fluency is not perfectly stable. Your mental condition affects performance,
Stress, anxiety, exhaustion, lack of confidence, even mood, all of these influence speaking ability.
which is why learners should stop treating every bad conversation like permanent proof of failure.
Exactly. One awkward interaction does not erase your progress.
But many learners emotionally overreact to small mistakes.
I paused for 3 seconds. My English journey is over.
I pronounced one word incorrectly. I must now disappear into the mountains forever.
Honestly, the drama is incredible sometimes.
Very cinematic.
But seriously, negative self-talk damages fluency more than people realize.
Because your brain listens to the way you talk about yourself.
If you constantly repeat, my English is terrible, I can't speak, I'm so bad at conversations.
Your confidence weakens before conversations even begin.
Exactly. Your mindset affects performance massively.
Confident learners take risks. Fearful learners stay silent.
And silence slows improvement.
That's why self-compassion matters during language learning.
You are learning a completely different communication system. Of course, mistakes will happen.
Honestly, being able to speak even imperfectly in another language is already impressive.
Most people never even try.
Another reason brains go blank is trying to think about too many grammar rules simultaneously.
Oh yes, this is one of the most common fluency killers.
Some learners are mentally checking verb tenses while trying to maintain eye contact and continue the conversation.
That's too much pressure for real-time speaking.
Grammar study is useful, but conversations require automaticity.
Exactly. At some point, your brain must stop consciously analyzing every structure.
Think about driving a car. In the beginning, you consciously think about every movement,
Mirrors, steering wheel, brakes, speed, signals, everything feels overwhelming.
but after enough practice, many actions become automatic.
Speaking English works the same way,
Repetition slowly converts knowledge into instinct,
which is why speaking regularly matters so much.
because fluency grows through automatic patterns, not constant overanalysis.
Another important thing learners need to understand is that pauses are normal.
Yes, this is huge.
Many learners panic the moment there's silence during a conversation.
Meanwhile, native speakers pause constantly.
They say, let me think. Actually.
Human speech naturally includes pauses,
But learners think pauses equal failure.
which creates even more panic during conversations.
Sometimes your brain simply needs 1 or 2 seconds to organize thoughts. That's normal.
Fluency does not mean talking nonstop like an auction announcer.
It means communicating comfortably and naturally.
Honestly, some learners speak too fast because they think speed equals fluency.
Then their pronunciation collapses halfway through the sentence.
Slow, clear English is much stronger than rushed, confusing English.
Exactly. Confidence sounds calm. Panic sounds rushed.
Another thing that helps reduce blank moments is improving your conversation survival skills.
I love that phrase.
Basically, learners should practice small phrases that help continue conversations even when they feel nervous.
For example, That's a good question. Let me think for a second. I'm not sure how to explain this. What I mean is,
These phrases buy your brain extra thinking time naturally.
and they make conversations feel smoother instead of stressful.
Native speakers use these filler phrases constantly.
Because conversations are not perfect scripts, they are spontaneous interactions.
And honestly, once learners stop expecting perfection from themselves, speaking becomes much easier.
Because pressure decreases.
And when pressure decreases, the brain finally relaxes enough to communicate naturally.
Before we continue, let's ask everyone listening something important.
When your brain goes blank in English, what do you usually do?
Stay silent, laugh nervously, switch to your native language, pretend you didn't hear the question.
Or suddenly become deeply interested in checking your phone for absolutely no reason?
Before we end this episode, remember something important. If your brain goes blank in English sometimes, that does not mean you are stupid. It does not mean you are bad at languages. And it definitely does not mean you can never become fluent.
It simply means your brain is still learning how to handle pressure, speed, confidence, and communication at the same time.
Fluency is not built in one perfect moment. It's built through awkward conversations, nervous pauses, forgotten words, embarrassing mistakes, and trying again anyway.
Every confident English speaker you admire today was once confused, nervous, and uncomfortable too.
The difference is, they didn't quit after feeling embarrassed.
They kept speaking, even when it felt messy, even when it felt slow, even when their brain completely stopped working sometimes.
And honestly, that's real courage in language learning. Continuing to speak even when you're afraid of making mistakes.
Because mistakes are not proof that you're failing. They are proof that you're actually using the language.
So the next time your brain freezes during an English conversation, don't panic. Pause, smile, take a breath, and continue anyway.
Your goal is communication, not perfection.
And trust me, people will remember your confidence far more than your grammar mistakes.
Unless you accidentally say something completely dangerous. Then maybe they'll remember both.
Rayan, please stop traumatizing the audience before the outro ends.
I'm just preparing them for character development.
Anyways, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this podcast with a friend whose brain also disappears during English conversations.
And answer today's question in the comments. What situation makes your brain go blank the fastest in English?
We read your comments all the time. And honestly, some of your stories are funnier than Rayan's life decisions.
That's disrespectful, but accurate.
Thank you so much for listening to Learn English with Roast.
Keep practicing, keep speaking, and remember, fluency is not about sounding perfect. It's about being brave enough to keep talking.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Until then, stop translating every thought like your brain is a free trial version of Google Translate.
Bye, everyone.